All right, so we are out our top pairing defenseman, our backup goalie, our head coach, and now our superstar. Great way to start the season. How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Chris Maselli, with another episode of the podcast dedicated to your Colorado Avalanche. And on today's show, we will be discussing Nathan MacKinnon. Not going to be there for game number 1, testing positive for COVID, what that means. We will be listening to Cale Makar, who gave a press conference, kind of like his first big one, really, of the preseason, and his last one, obviously, before the real game start and before he takes action for the first time. So we'll hear from him, and then kind of looking at the Tampa Bay Lightning and what we can learn from that, if anything, heading into the Avalanche first game of the season. But first things first, follow the show on social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, opinions, go to lockedonavalanche@gmail.com and follow the show's YouTube channel over on YouTube. Just search for Locked On Avalanche. And as always, thank you for making this show your first listen of the day. It is always appreciated. So let's get into it. Yeah. Nathan MacKinnon found out, tested positive for COVID. So he is out. He is asymptomatic. And the Avalanche are a 100% vaccinated team. Again, that does not mean that you can't contract it. You clearly can. What's good about that is he could be ready for Saturday, the second game against St. Louis. And that's, I guess, a benefit of getting vaccinated. It controls symptoms a little bit better, and things like this can happen, where if he wasn't vaccinated, maybe he's out for a little bit longer. But he will get tested every day up until then, and the minute he gives them a negative test, he's back in action. So that could be Saturday. If it's not, I can't imagine he goes longer than that. I can't imagine he would go longer than the first 2 games of the season. We know that Jared Bednar will be out for the first game as well. Excuse me. And he could be back for the second game. Actually, likely will be back, according to Joe Sakic. So clearly not how you want to start the season if you're the Avalanche. Like I said, your top pairing defenseman is out. That's due to injury. Your backup goalie, which we also learned from Joe Sakic, is a sprained ankle. That is the specific injury, and we don't get that a lot. I don't know if Joe Sakic slipped up and wasn't supposed to say that. You always get the upper or lower body injury. We got the lower body injury. Now we know the specific of it. It's a sprained ankle for Francouz. So 3 to 4 weeks. Okay. I mean, I know they always say treat a sprain like a break. Sometimes a break goes a little bit longer than 4 weeks. But what is the severity of the sprain? That we don't know. So 3 to 4 weeks. Okay. He's out for that long. So you're out your head coach, and now you're out your superstar. So clearly not how you want to start the season, but this is what depth brings. You can't replace Nathan MacKinnon. Let's get real here. But you can survive. You still have a very, very good team, even without him. It's not something you want to make a habit out of, clearly. But missing 1, possibly 2 games without him, I think would be okay. Peter Baugh from The Athletic posted the lines that were going on in practice, and it looked something like Landeskog, Kadri, and Rantanen on the top line. So Kadri is taking the place of MacKinnon, clearly. On your second line, he has Nichushkin, Comfer, and Burakovsky. And if you listened to the show the other day, in my predicting the lines, I had Comfort down centering the fourth line. So if these lines hold true, he's centering the second line, which that shows you that you can move these guys around anywhere you want to within this lineup, with the exception of the top line, obviously. But yeah, Comfort is a guy who could have a very good game if he's centering a second line. And if all is well and good and everybody's healthy, you can put him on a third or fourth line and he can produce there clearly. So according to this and Peter Bell watching practice, it was Nichushkin, Comfort, and Burakovsky. Third line was Newhook, Jost, and Ranta. That one gets me excited. Yeah, you have, your two rookies and, still a young player in Tyson Jost. That could be an energetic line. That could be a fun line to watch. And then on the fourth line, you have Helm, O'Connor, and McDermott now takes a forward position. And that's something that they teased in the preseason. Was it something that they would do if they needed to? They would. And this seems to be the solution to not having Nathan MacKinnon in the lineup for at least game one, is putting Curtis McDermott on a wing on the fourth line. People might throw their hands up and say, like, why would we do that? I mean, look, like that's a fourth line. It's not like he's going to be out there getting 16, 17 minutes in a game. But depending on how the game goes, like we've always said, he's your muscle. So defense pretty much remains the same. No change there, obviously, because you have Taves out. So, but we've known that for a while that Taves is not going to be there. So that's kind of what it looks like right now. At least it's not an injury where, it's nothing that should be lingering for the whole season. Like you kind of feel that way with Pavel Francouz. Yeah, he's out, and we didn't need to know that it was a sprained ankle to know that it looked kind of ugly and a little bit bad. And it also could be something that's lingering around for him for the duration of the season. Sprained ankles, sprained anything, does not just go away. The only thing that makes it go away is just time. But you kind of, ask a hockey player to take more time than he's supposed to, and they're going to laugh in your face. So he's going to be back out on the ice the minute he's cleared to go. And when you have a sprain, sometimes you're favoring that a little bit. You make a wrong move, you're going to re-sprain it. I'm not trying to paint a doom and gloom picture for Pavel Francouz, but it's just something that you have to watch now for the rest of the season. It's not the case with Nathan MacKinnon. He's got COVID. He can get over it. Once he gets over it, he's back to his awesome self. So, but if you're an Avalanche fan, it's like, man, we've already started the season with these numerous issues, and it's a full gamut of stuff. It's injuries, it's viruses. Some happen in the off season, some, and the others happen in the preseason. We can't even get to a game yet, and you had Cale Makar out the duration of the preseason too, with a surgery or a procedure that he had. And very interestingly enough, when we get to the clip that I'm going to play in the next segment, somebody asks him about it, and he kind of moves on from the question pretty quickly. Does not want to specify exactly what it was. I remember hearing somewhere I think the shoulder thing was Taves, right? I believe that's what it was. I don't think we really got anything specific on what Makar's was. Not that it matters, but clearly something that he doesn't really think is worthy of talking about, or at least telling the press. So can it stop there for the Avs for a little while anyway? Please, hockey gods, let us get some games in before you want to take away some player games. But let's see. Let's just do one thing at a time. First thing that we got to focus on is game number 1 against Chicago, who could be a turnaround team this year. And I haven't looked up. I don't know if they are missing anybody, of value like we are with MacKinnon. I don't think they are. I think they are relatively healthy. So I know Seth Jones' brother is out for a little while, but I don't think that's somebody that they really rely on all that much. So it's going to be a tough task as it is because they're a good team. And now we're out our superstar. So this is what happens. This is what we're used to in Avalanche world. The next guy steps up. And maybe that next guy is Curtis McDermott at a forward spot on the fourth line. That would be great. All right, let's hear from Built Bar, and it is the best tasting protein bar on the market. You know that, and you love it. And they have so many delicious flavors to choose from, such as coconut, raspberry, mint brownie, double chocolate, salted caramel. The list goes on and on. And if you haven't tried all the flavors, you can get a mixed box. We'll get 2 of each of the 9 flavors available. And not only are Built Bar flavors the best tasting, they are healthy. They have 17 to 18 grams of protein. Calories range from 130 to 180. They only have 4 to 5 grams of sugar, only 4 to 5 grams of net carbs. Amazing flavors, all tasty and all healthy. And if you go to builtbar.com right now, use the promo code LOCKED15. You get 15% off of your order. Once again, that promo code is LOCKED15 for 15% off at builtbar.com. All right. Like I said, Cale Makar spoke to the media, and we're going to play that for you now and then have some comments on the back end of it. Kind of, your canned answers, your canned hockey player answers, nothing, no bulletin board material. He's not going to give you that stuff. He just wants to get out there and play. But I always love his demeanor for such a, and he's had this since day one. This is not something that he's grown into. He has been this way since day number one, which has always been impressive. So, all right, let's hear from Cale Makar on his press conference with the Denver media.
Yeah, no, feeling good, ready to go. Excited to get the first one under the belt, and I know the team's excited too. So, yeah, we'll look forward to a late Wednesday game tomorrow.
You said that you really don't feel like you've accomplished anything. Why do you say that? Because the reaction would be, look at how young you are and how much you've done, and Norris finalist.
Yeah, I mean, I think as an individual, I just don't see myself haven't accomplished anything yet. I think, I'm never really satisfied, and those individual things aren't really things that I focus on either. So I think what I base my success off of is just team success, and the way the team goes, the way we'll all go. So.
Yeah. How soon into the season is it going to sink in that there is a potential to represent Team Canada in February?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's always in the back of your mind, but at the end of the day, you have a goal to accomplish before that, and putting your team in the right position to succeed, whether it's before or after that. So, it's really not going to be something that I'm weighing too heavily on, and whenever the time comes to talk to people, then that'll happen. But in my mind, I'm not going to be focused on that too much.
Jared Bednar says he's talked to you about increasing the role and what kind of role you could play, and he brought up Victor Hedman playing all those minutes, playing everything. Do you see yourself filling that kind of role even more so moving into the future?
Yeah, obviously I want to develop into a role where I can be trusted in every scenario, and especially I think in this first part of the season here, it's going to be important for everybody in the back end to step up just because of Devon being out for the next little bit here, or Taser. So, no, I think personally everybody has to be ready to fill a little bit more of that offensive touch, and then be able to pick up the slack on the back end as well, whether it's PKing. So, no, I'm excited to get back in. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty comfortable. I think I had a lot of experience with it in college and stuff like that, and even it's not like I'm not playing every single night or not playing PK at all throughout the season. So I still get a few reps in there, and it's just you just try and stay on top of that. And obviously, I'd like to be out there, but at the same time, we have so many guys that are capable of doing the job right, and whatever's going to make the team succeed. So yeah, that's the way I see it.
In what areas has he grown from maybe last year when he was up for a few games?
Yeah, I think Bo's looking very poised. Even just watching him in the few games there, I think he's looking very smooth. I'm excited to see transition into the regular season this year and the role that he plays on our team. I think he's a very, very good two-way player when he plays both ends, and no, I think he'll be a key piece for us, especially early on in the season and then moving down the stretch. That's for sure. So, yeah, hopefully we'll be all good this year.
The Nathan and Jared testing positive for COVID, has that been kind of a reality check that this thing still exists, and maybe there are some things that you guys have to take into precaution away from the rink?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we still know in the back of our minds COVID's still a thing. Everybody has to be careful. I think we've all done our due diligence in getting vaccinated and making sure that we're as protected as we can be. But at the same time, it's still, you have to take those extra precautions and make sure that you're not putting yourself in those things. And obviously, this is a fluke and a little bit of a wake-up call. But at the same time, we have guys that need to fill those roles, and Nate's a tough guy to fill. But at the same time, we'll be ready and prepared to do it. So.
Would you prefer to play in a preseason game, or does it not really matter?
I mean, preseason's always a good time. You get the feeling of the pace back and stuff like that, obviously, after the summer break. But at the end of the day, you have to do what's right for yourself. And in my case here, it was just precautionary, basically, just making sure I'll be ready for opening night and should be good to go. So.
What were you being precautionary about?
Over the summer, I had a procedure, so mainly that's I wouldn't like to get too much into that. So.
Yes, sir, Cale? What's just the lift in the room having EJ back? How much nicer is it with him there?
Yeah, I love EJ. He's an awesome guy. Keeps the mood very light, and obviously he's a veteran presence for us in the back end. So all of us young guys are going to lean on him quite a bit. So it's awesome to have him back and see him healthy this year, knock on wood. And yeah, we'll see. I'm looking forward to see how he plays coming the regular season, because he was buzzing in the preseason. So no, I'm looking forward to it.
What are your thoughts on the defensive depth? You guys lost, obviously, Ryan Graves, but adding guys like Jack Johnson, Ryan Murray, even Curtis McDermott.
Yeah, no, I think we did a great job in adding extra depth on the back end. Obviously, Murray, he's been playing very well, very agile, mobile guy, and he can play on both ends of the puck as well. And then obviously you have McDermott as a big guy who's not going to back down on the back end for us. So, and then obviously JJ there, Johnson, he'll be a great veteran pickup for us, and another guy that can play really well on both ends of the ice, PK, and even step up on the offensive side like we saw in preseason. So, no, I think we did a good job, and everybody's going to need to know their roles, but at the same time, it should be a fun one for us on the back end.
Have you made strides, you think, early in becoming a more physical and gritty player and learning how to leverage your frame against maybe some bigger guys you're going against?
Yeah, I think coming into the league, that was definitely a learning curve. Obviously, college, my last game in college, we were playing against the Minnesota team that was all 24, 25-year-old guys, so they're all men, and so coming into the league, it's not something that's crazy new, but you're playing big guys every night that whether you have to box out or angle out or whatnot. So there's definitely a transition period, but at the same time, it's not too hard to adapt to that to the bigger, I guess, physical style of game, and just stay on top of that. And I think that's something that, going back to your guys' question too, that Bo's done really well, is that the physical aspect of his game really meshed into the league. So no, I'm excited to see. Yeah.
Can you give us a scouting report on an Avalanche 7th round draft choice? Have you been talking to him, and what can you tell us about it?
Yeah, no, I've been obviously talking to him. He's loving UMass so far. He was pretty excited to get drafted, obviously. I think in his mind, it's just he's excited, but at the same time, he knows there's a lot of work to be done before that, and that's kind of the way that we were brought up as kids. And he's loving UMass right now, and I don't think they played this past weekend, but I think they play this weekend coming up. So if I can, I'll definitely be tuning in, because he's got a very bright future in front of him with his size and his ability on the ice. That's for sure.
What do you like about playing with Sam Girard on a pairing, and what maybe makes it different than playing with Devon when he's healthy?
Yeah, he's very good in those small, tight areas, especially breaking the puck out too. So I think we do a good job at communicating, whether it's offensive zone and just reading off each other and mobile. I think for us, it's just not getting too focused on moving around up top in the O zone, and just making sure that we're still getting pucks to the forwards, pucks at the net. So, but no, I love playing with G. I think we play well together thus far, and I think our transition game, especially with Taser as well, is very quick, and that's how we like to play. So.
Do you have to play at all more conservatively with Sam?
No, I think we trust ourselves like equally. We know that we can both be offensive guys, but at the same time, we have that responsibility to be D-men and always be back. So it's not like we're going to always, both of us, be jumping up in the rush and stuff like that. But if we see the opportunity, then we're going to make the right call. So no, going back to his question, I think that it just we do a good job relatively of reading off each other, and that's just kind of the basis for the start of it.
Anything else? Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
So there you go. Cale Makar, like you can tell he just wants to go play a game. uh, he never gets frustrated, with the media or anything like that. But you kind of just got the impression that he's just ready to roll, and couldn't help but crack a smile when asked about Erik Johnson. And he says he's just glad that he's back around, keeps things light. And that's what this team needs, because there's so much pressure on this team to perform, to win another President's Trophy, to make it to the Stanley Cup, to win the Stanley Cup. So you need guys. That's why I was so disappointed when Belmar left, because he was that role. And with Johnson not there last year, he kind of took that role and ran with it. I would have loved to have him and Johnson back, and then this team would just been footloose and fancy freed. But it's okay with just having Johnson there, and he keeps everybody loose, which is what you want. He's happy with the depth that they picked up. He's happy with McDermott being kind of that muscle. Very happy with Bo Byram. He likes what he sees in him as a two-way player. Seems like Byram is more physical than we really want to give him credit for. And that's not really what got him hurt last year. What got him hurt was a illegal hit, which should have been called. But he seems like he's not going to back down from guys, and that's good. That's what you want to see. I found it interesting that he says he wants to be in a role where he can be trusted in every scenario. And my question to that was, what scenario are you not trusted in right now? Maybe he was alluding to being trusted coming out of an injury, coming out of not playing in the preseason. So being trusted in that aspect, like right off the jump, I'm fine. Trust me in every situation. I think that's what he was talking about, because if he's not, I can't think of a scenario where I don't trust that guy. So, can't wait for him to, finally get on the ice and show what he can do. And it'll be interesting with him and Girard. Talked a lot about how him and Sam Girard form a good tandem. And, doesn't matter if you put Makar with Girard or with Taves, they can just hit the ice running. They kind of play, they play styles that complement each other. I think Makar and Girard. And like he said, they both can be offensive if they need to be. If they see the opportunity, they will take it. But they know their responsibilities, and their responsibilities are as defensemen. So it's defense first. If offense comes into play, neither one of them have any qualms in jumping up and taking advantage of an offensive opportunity. So I'm fine with that pairing, and we'll see what game one looks like for them. All right, betonline.ag. And we are back and better than ever with another football season well underway. And as always, BetOnline is your number one spot for all the pro and college football action this season. With a new updated site and interface, even more odds, props, and contests, BetOnline continues to be the number one source for everything football. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up, and you will receive a 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. And don't forget to use that promo code Locked On to receive your bonus from football, basketball, boxing, hockey's back in action, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your sports and is where the game starts. All right. Finally, if you were watching the game last night between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the defending champion Tampa Bay Lightning, you saw a very flat Tampa Bay team. And this is a team who, obviously, like I just said, coming off a Stanley Cup, back-to-back Stanley Cup wins. They hung the banner right before the game. Crowd is into it. A lot of emotion going on. And they laid an egg. And they lose 6-2 against Pittsburgh, a Crosby-less, Malkin-less Pittsburgh Penguin team. And the Penguins are, with those two guys, they're always going to be competitive. Without those two guys, you would think they might struggle a little bit. They didn't. They really stuck it to Tampa Bay. And I don't know if Tampa Bay was just deer in headlights, focused on all of the activities going on, raising the banner. The cup was there, obviously, for the last time. Was it just all of that fanfare got to them and they played like crap? Or was it just the beginning of the year and you still have kinks to work out? Could be a combination of the two. Who knows? But the lesson to be learned here is, it's one game. And, Adam and I are good friends. Adam Denker, who hosts Locked On Lightning. I would love to have a conversation with him, and we probably will tomorrow, about what the comments are like in Tampa Bay land. Probably not happy after their baseball team was eliminated, and now their Stanley Cup defending champion hockey team goes out and loses the first game of the season. But that is what it is. It's the first game of the season. So I'm not trying to just set this up just in case the Avalanche don't play well, but I'm not making excuses for them. Game one doesn't make the season. So it's, of course, win or lose, like you want to win the first game of the year. That kind of, for the fan and for the team, it kind of sets the tone. You're playing in front of your home crowd, which the Avalanche are doing. So you want to get that first win. Ball Arena is going to be going nuts. You want to put on a show for them. You want to win the game. But this is with any sport. Teams come out and just don't have it on day one. Now you could say, well, look at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh came out looking good. So yeah, talking out of both sides of my mouth probably, but it's a possibility is all I'm saying, that it might take a game or two for this Avalanche team to get rolling. And now when you don't have your head coach there, you don't have your superstar there, it's going to, in all likelihood, will look like a different game for the Avs. Still a game that they can play and still a game that they can win, obviously. But don't put all the eggs in one basket. And if they don't look the best on day one, just know that. Just know that it's day one. Let's keep it together. It's a long road. We got 82 games to go. But I think because it's game one, we all want to put so much emphasis on game one, which is kind of unfair. But these guys are professionals. And trust me, they want to win game one as much as we want them to. But I think, watching that Tampa Bay game last night was just kind of a rude awakening for those teams. Sometimes you just come out not assuming you're going to win, but just figuring like, oh, we can just pretty much pick up where we left off in the playoffs last year. Not always the case. The Avalanche definitely don't want to pick up where they left off last year in the playoffs. So, this team has something to fight for all year long. And I think they're going to start. They know the importance of every single game. So you're going to get, I think, a good showing from them, because they do want to put on a good show for the home crowd. They do want to get that first win under their belt. And they, they probably want to prove to themselves, like, yeah, Nathan MacKinnon's our guy. He's our superstar. But if he were to be out a game or two, we can survive without him. So I think they want to prove that to themselves as well. We shall see. The game, it's tonight. No longer have to count down the days, do those jersey number days away from hockey. It's here. So let's enjoy it. Let's have fun with it. This is going to be a fun season, and follow along with me all season long. It's going to be a good one. So once again, thank you for making this your first listen of the day. Definitely make your second listen of the day Locked On Fantasy. If you are into fantasy hockey, head on over there with Scott Cullen. He's the host. He's got years and years and decades of fantasy hockey experience. So he's the perfect person to host that show and can give you all of the insight on all of your fantasy leagues. And as always, every Locked On show is free and available on every platform. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. let's get this show on the road, and we'll see everybody tomorrow. Hopefully talking about a win.